The Buddhist tradition in Russia was actually studied from early times. In the 18th century they started, and in the 19th they were pioneer works by such writers as Vasilyev, Schmidt, and others. One of the first big Tibetan dictionary was composed here. One of the first Sanskrit dictionaries by Bertland. And in the end of 19th century, the leading scholars of Russian Orientalist Society, the most known of them is of course Sherbatsky. Sherbatsky. Forgot the name. Led by Sherbatsky, they started a very important practice of consulting educated lamas. And the school, organized by Sherbatsky, made some great works and translations of very important Buddhist texts which were not studied anywhere else. In fact, here they organized the main international printing house for publishing the Buddhist text, called Biblioteka Buddhika, where many scholars from different countries contributed to this. But after the communist power came, everything was finished and forbidden as religious propaganda. And the last, most Orientalists were arrested, shot, or sent to concentration camps. Only Sherbatsky himself survived, and he died in 1942 during the war. Then, during the Soviet time, no single Buddhist publication came out, if we don't count two small booklets written from the atheistic point of view, as a propagandist materials by Professor Kochetov, who was working for some time in Ulan-Ude and teaching. Then he was teaching in Moscow, and he wrote these two small books. Among the people interested in Buddhism, these were bestsellers, not because they were saying truth, but because they had some facts which could be found nowhere else. And it's interesting that I met this Kochetov in the 80s when we had the Olympic Games here. We had a new Buddhist exhibition in the Museum of History of Religions and Atheism where I worked, and he came as a member of team of reviewers of this exhibition. And it's interesting that when I showed them the exhibition, I was the author of the exhibition. After that, he came to me, and when we talked, he said, please try to remember that it was not me who was writing letters on different people who were arrested during the Soviet time. It was not me, it was the head of the militant atheist society, the Buryat person. For some strange coincidence, after a couple of years, I met this Buryat. They had, in the 30s, they had a joint work published together with this Kochetov. And I also saw him for the first time, and he also told me, please bear in mind that it was not me who were writing letters, it was Kochetov. I had so much compassion to this person. Both I met for the first time, I don't know why they told me that. So no books at all, and only after Gorbachev came, then it became possible to start Buddhist publication, which actually we started. In 1991, the first book we published was the book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, The Buddhism of Tibet. It was comprised of 3 small talks of his. And since that time, many things changed. Now we have dozens of titles every year published new. Books of the Dalai Lama come immediately as they appear in the foreign languages. So much better.